What's your take on this latest escalation of tensions between the US and China? It seems like President Trump is upping the ante, but China is also hitting back.
You know, I think he is. You could say he's upping the ante somewhat carefully. You know, all the talk is about $200 billion in tariffs, but of course it's a 10% tariff on $200 billion of Chinese imports. So that's effectively $20 billion in tariffs, and coupled with a threat to do more in the new year. The Chinese response so far has been similarly modest. They've announced tariffs, we don't know the precise level yet, but somewhere between 5 and 10% on about $60 billion of US imports. Again, in real terms, a fairly small number. The question here is, does this help or hinder the likelihood that the two sides actually get to the negotiating table? I mean, we are a year into these escalating trade tensions now, not just with China, but with other places in the world. And there isn't a lot to show for it in terms of negotiated deals. So the question we're all debating here in Washington is does this help propel the Chinese to the negotiating table, or does it drive them away from it?
And that will be a very important question to ask. Edward, you said we are 1 year into this trade war, if you wanted to call it that. Alibaba's Jack Ma says this could last up to 20 years. What happens next, and how do you see this being resolved?
Well, I mean, I think we don't know. There has been some progress in trying to negotiate outcomes. So the U.S. and Korea have a tentative deal. The U.S. and Mexico have reached a kind of understanding in principle in the NAFTA talks. The U.S. and Canada are talking now, trying to reach a conclusion in the next week or two. The U.S. and Europeans have begun trade talks. The China piece is the biggest piece right now. I think Jack Ma is right. The issues between the United States and China are ones that are going to go on for many years. Even if we see some kind of temporary truce reached, there are fundamental differences in the two economic systems that are going to require ongoing negotiations. I think we can all hope we don't see this sort of tit-for-tat tariff escalation go on for 20 years. That would obviously be very destabilizing for the global economy.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.